Welcome to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. It's a weekly deep dive into the biggest stories and topics surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. Allie, Clifton, it's the Mike and Mike show. Laker insider Mike Bresnahan, Lakers reporter Mike Trudell. This is only my second time using these new mic stands, and I don't know what to do with my hands.
Are you confused by it? Because we had to hold the mic for like the first 3 years of this podcast.
We got 5 mics in the studio.
We've got a lot of mics.
What do you do with your hands when you're hosting at the desk?
I use them, but this is
Paper
kind of
or you don't do the pen thing usually.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you do the paper shuffle? You don't. I've never seen.
I do.
Do you?
Like this?
To go out to break?
Yeah.
You have to do the paper shuffle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's because when you're after the teas or something, then you're just sitting there kind of in the awkward.
Right.
And I always make a face, kind of like a.
Yeah.
You know,
when I'm
instead of
tossing,
just like, what do you smell? Because I'm not gonna do just like the
actually,
big smile. So
when you're on the road, actually, and anywhere, and I just said actually 3 times, when we're throwing to you on site, I always do the paper. You can't even see it, but it's like
because I never see you when you're tossing it. Yeah, that's true.
But I always do it. I thought that's why you were asking.
No,
subtly.
Just because you got papers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So try not to hit the mic as you talk with your hands. Like it's.
That's why.
Yeah.
It was awkward for me for a second.
Yeah.
You know what else might be awkward? Mike Trudell and I just came back from Phoenix. I got to meet the team and join them. And I feel like I've actually got a little closer to Mike Trudell over the last year or so.
Sure.
We're around each other a lot more,
Yep.
on the road, etc. But I may have taken it, Brett's like, oh God, where's this going? I may have taken it one step further than he's probably used to. So we get to the arena and we're getting off the bus. We're the last ones to get off the bus. And I see Mike Trudell in front of me. And I have this problem, which a lot of people already know because I go through a full roll of paper towels during a show. Everyone knows this. I sweat. I have a sweating problem. Nervous energy. I don't stink. So I said to Trudell,
thank you.
Trudell, do you have deodorant?
I was not aware of this.
Oh, yeah, he was not aware.
Yeah.
I said, Trudell, you got deodorant? He just turns around and he's like, what? I was like, I use Old Spice. I don't care. I need your deodorant. He was like, okay. I got it. And he was like, I'm just trying to process the whole like sanitary using the same bar. I was like, I'll clean it off.
Was it spray? No one uses spray. No, I shouldn't say no one. Very few people use spray.
No.
It's a roll-on.
He did not.
Just to clarify.
So we get into the media room in Phoenix and he hands me his deodorant and it's the Invisible Solid, which I loved.
Nice.
Went into the restroom. I used Mike Trudell's deodorant, cleaned it off, and I gave it back.
Wow.
And look, and I had no
lifesaver.
I had no problem or issue with this. I just was a little confused at first.
Right.
When she said, "Hey, do you have any deodorant?" and I was like, "Do I smell?" It wasn't totally clear that it was for her. But once then she said that, and I was like, "Well, I have some in my bag right here." Sometimes, Brez, I put it in my suitcase, and then so I wouldn't get that until the plane. But I had an extra bag because we were on this 4-game trip. And so I was like, sure, no problem. But do you want me to just get it out and hand it to you here right in front of the security guards? Or do you want this to be discreet? Not that it's a big thing.
Care. I just needed deodorant.
It's just like if I just was thinking, let's say Anthony Davis is walking by and he just sees me hand a thing of deodorant to Allie, and he just would kind of give us a little bit of a side eye.
I have no shame.
But what I respect is not only does Allie have no shame to ask, but then to give it, and it's just putting it all out there. And so no problem with it. I hope it helped.
It did.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like that kind too because it doesn't. It's like it's supposed to be the no show. It's like white.
And it really was.
Yeah. There you go.
It was. And one small thing, when I was trying to convince Trudell that this is normal for me and we share deodorant around here, I go, Geeter asks for my deodorant all the time.
Yeah, that was had she said, Brez, that she uses yours all the time, I would have been a little bit concerned. But it seems like with Geeter, he probably sweats, on there too. So it's fine. I get it.
I also wear
the anchors are allowed to share, right?
Yeah.
That's good. True. Okay. I can see you in the bus. You're kind of like doing the fake eyebrow, itching the eyebrow on the other side of the head, so you can kind of check and make sure it's not you. Because at first you were like, "Is it me?" So we all do that from time to time, Allie. I don't know about if you do it, but occasionally you're kind of pretending you're scratching the other side of your ear. Just you can make sure you.
I'm
you
always
smell
like,
okay. Oh, you just go straight for it. There's no pretending of doing any. Okay.
No shame.
Oh, you two are good friends now. That's awesome.
Yeah, I felt really extra connected.
Well, Allie, I'll tell you this: that I did not after the fact the next day when that
Did you
morning.
throw it away?
No, of course.
Oh, okay.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I was gonna say.
No,
please
I
don't.
didn't even think twice about it. I just put it on.
Oh, good.
Well, I did think about it for a second, but then I put it on anyway, and it was fine.
I did clean it. I did sanitize.
Did you lop like a little tiny layer off the top of it
No,
with a scissors?
absolutely not.
No. Okay.
A little razor blade.
Like
I'm not a chef, but isn't that what you do for like for onions? You're trying to get the sauce, like or garlic. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave, in my ear.
Dave, good job.
The
Wow.
garlic, just the like tiny little. No, I didn't do that.
do you think Brez and I cook? We would have had
I know
no
that you
idea.
don't. Yeah, you've talked about this
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you'd have more time because of your lack of pop culture knowledge. I thought maybe you would have more time to do
There's
so.
not a
but-
lot.
Like
that
she's
goes
got
on
to be
in my
doing
world.
something. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
it's-
I should have prefaced though, by the way, that I did have my own deodorant. I did put it on. I didn't sweat or I didn't smell. I was getting nervous. I was preparing for my Darvin interview on the bus. I was thinking of my thoughts. all the things.
Well, you do know the difference between deodorant and antiperspirant, right?
I don't.
Please tell us, Brett.
Okay, deodorant is just a scent. You roll it on and it smells good. It doesn't stop you from sweating.
No deodorant does.
Antiperspirant, so you got to make sure it says that. That will presumably stop you from sweating. And sometimes you can get both, deodorant with antiperspirant. So there you go.
So we don't have to go too much longer on this topic unless
Yeah.
you want to.
But
But
as a doctor, so I know these things.
I remember the time that I used to sweat and worry about it was in high school. And you'd get to high school and you're kind of there for the whole day. Maybe there's no AC, especially in Minnesota schools. Probably the same in Ohio. 'Cause
Yep.
They're like, oh, you'll be fine for most of the years.
Yeah,
It's only
that's
hot
great.
like 3 days.
Yeah,
out of the year.
your kid, suck it up.
And let's say that you like somebody either in the school, in the class, and you're just thinking all day, well, by fifth period, I don't want my my Abercrombie polo or whatever. Brez probably had 2 of them on with both collars up. I don't want a
Sometimes
pit
3.
stain showing by that
Yeah.
point. And what I found is the second that you can just not worry about that, kind of stop sweating. So you just let that go. Don't think about it. And I know it's easier said than done, but it's really a mental thing. It's not your body's not trying to tell you something, especially in that context.
Yeah.
So I think that by the end of this season, you will not be sweating at games. I foresee that happening.
I have been doing this job for over a decade.
I know, but now that you know,
You had to
because
stop.
I said so, and you use
Oh,
my
it's gonna work,
deodorant,
yeah.
that I don't actually need the deodorant and just sort of do it as an exercise. But then I stop thinking about it, don't think about it for the rest of the night, and then the end of the night comes, and we're all good.
What other life hacks do you have for us?
Other life hacks. Well, this isn't a life hack, but I have a jersey on right now. Of course, it's Manchester United. Glory, glory, Man United. And I have failed miserably because I should have worn any type of Northwestern paraphernalia because we smashed on Brez's Badgers over the past weekend. So that was what again, no larger meaning here, but I have failed in trying to rub that in to Bresnahan.
True. See, Allie, like once a decade, no, that's not giving you guys enough credit. Twice a decade, my phone lights up when Wisconsin's playing Northwestern. And it's like, hey, we're going to beat you guys. And the previous 3 or 4 years, like whenever Wisconsin beats Northwestern, I don't care. Like I don't haze Trudell and others that I know that went to Northwestern.
Mm-hmm.
But the last Saturday was one such occasion where it's that time of the semi-decade again, where and this is why it bothers me.
Hold on, okay. I let you go for a while. You know that we beat you more often than that, and
Oh, no.
especially as a smaller private school, and you guys care a lot more about football than we do.
True.
With the exception of
Mike
our
and
boss,
Mike show just got real spicy.
AJ Particularly. But we do beat Wisconsin more than we beat almost anybody else.
I'm gonna give
It
you-
is a fact.
I'm going to give you twice a decade.
Stop. Just okay. Now I'm gonna have to actually look this up. I feel like it's at least 50-50 since you and I met.
No way.
Yes.
No way.
So
Yes.
who won this weekend?
Wisconsin
did.
lost, and we're bad
Northwestern.
this year. We have a first-year coach, so we're bad. I mean, he'll be
very
good
bad.
eventually. Yeah,
Well, our coach got fired before the season.
That's
and
true,
we
too.
have
How are the
not
Buckeyes?
actual
Yeah,
head
you-
coach.
it's-
They're okay. They're okay, I think. I don't know what their record is, but they're fine.
but there's
Did you go to Ohio State?
You know what? I really wanted to. I tried really hard, but I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I went to a couple camps, didn't make it.
I understand that because I wasn't good enough to play at UCLA, for example, or Stanford in soccer.
Yeah.
And Northwestern's team, when I got there, was bad. So, like, look, we were both good to be able to play at that level, but
We
not
thought
good-
we were, yeah.
not good enough to play for the best school in the country. And that, so I share that with you.
Yeah. I tried though. I really tried.
Yeah. I hear you.
Before we get into all the Lakers talk, because we are going there, we've got the Buckeyes and deodorant to get you there. We do have the last 10 matchups, I've been told, between Northwestern and Wisconsin, 5-5.
No
Hey!
way.
Their
There
last
is
10
no
games.
chance.
Thank you.
Although we have been going through a rebuild for about 5 years. So I'm sure.
That sounds like
Yeah.
10 years, Brez.
Well, yeah, if we're losing to you guys that much. I mean, here's the problem when Wisconsin does lose to Northwestern. Two things really happen on my phone or in my life. One, this is a secret outside of our sports media trade that people don't know, but a lot of sports media people went to Northwestern. Broadcasters, sports writers, reporters, columnists,
That's right.
editors. They have a very good sports media school run by my friend J.A. Adonde. So it's a big deal. They didn't have sports media when you went there, right?
No, well, I mean, yeah, there wasn't a specific sports track like you had to go through.
But still,
or anything.
a lot of sports
But
people.
I
the
would.
media world.
I'm a little biased. I would say the best journalism school in the country, but it's certainly up there with anybody else.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Like, I guarantee my phone blows up. And actually, Trudell, you were the only guy to reach out to me the other day. I'm not even kidding. So maybe it's like, people know Wisconsin sucks, so it's like, all right.
Yeah, well, the main reason I did it, because I know, first of all, you don't really care that much about it. It's not like you're going to get mad.
I
It was
used
just-
to.
I was
years
going to
ago.
try and I was hoping that AJ would come in kind of off the top rope and really kind of kick you when you were down. So I was just sort of trying to gaslight that situation a little bit with our boss. But I was happy. And did you wear? Because I couldn't see. Did you wear a purple tie
I actually did.
on the show?
Now,
that
I
was
wear
nice of
purple
you.
ties quite a bit on these shows.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait, this was a bet? You
It
lost
wasn't a
the
bet.
bet?
It just
No.
he was nice enough to do it, and I decided not to say anything else. I was like, if you want to wear a purple tie, we would appreciate the recognition. I didn't offer to wear a red tie.
Yeah.
For example, if Wisconsin, well, it sounds like they might beat us next year the way that things are going. But
Maybe.
he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't even consider us enough of a rival or anything to worry about. But clearly he should.
I actually didn't even watch the game. I got to be honest. I was out, where was I? Hiking at in Palos Verdes. So I actually had no idea what was going on.
Could have called Ding.
I could have called. That's right, Kevin Ding, another
Yeah, he
Northwestern
lives on
alum.
PB.
But the other thing, Allie, that bothers me, not only do I hear from a lot of sports media friends, except for this year, apparently not that many, it's like losing to the nerds in something. That's the part that bothers me. Because Northwestern's a very smart school. I didn't even try to get in there. I was all state school the entire way. But it's like when the jocks lose to the nerds. It's like, no, this can't be happening. And apparently it's happened a lot in the last decade, more than I thought it has.
Well,
Yeah. So that makes me sad.
you got to learn your team better, Brez.
I know.
Update, I am sweating. Let's talk
It's
about
'cause
the
we've been
latest.
talking about it, right? It's mental.
Let's talk about the latest on the
Alex,
injury front.
antiperspirant.
This is great news.
Yeah.
Jared Vanderbilt has been cleared to begin a return to play progression. I just want to start there. Any other information that you had gathered, Mike Trudell, or that you heard? Maybe the evaluation just happened.
Yeah, so this is one of those where there wasn't the full timetable was never really given, and I think because the injury itself, is not one that you hear of all the time, a left heel bursitis. But if you talk to some medical people and you do a little bit of research on the side, I think this is when he eventually comes back will be within around the time that I would have thought. And so, again, we don't have the actual timetable as to when he's going to return, but, maybe a couple more weeks. The fact that he's getting back to practice, not full team practice, but that he's doing some activities in that context, I think is good because it means that there haven't been setbacks necessarily. But, how that actually plays out in terms of when he'll return, we'll find out eventually. But, Brez, I think it's good that we're not getting a report like, he'll be reevaluated again
Another 2 weeks.
in another week or in 2 more weeks, which happens sometimes. And so that's the good place to start.
Yeah, it's funny. Like years ago, when Wisconsin would beat Northwestern every year, apparently, the reports weren't. They were a lot more specific. They would say this player is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with this injury, and over the last 10 years or so, these things have gotten a little more vague. It's kind of like, well, it's it's not as bad as hockey. In basketball, hockey's like, yeah, it's a lower body injury or upper body injury, and that's all you ever get.
Which is just ridiculous.
I know.
It's like we're holding these things as if they're state secrets.
Yeah, exactly.
With actual wars going on around the world, and we can't just give a timetable for an athlete. And I get it. This is a big part of my job, Allie, when you go down to the studio or to the arena. It's like, well, Mike, what's going on today? And I have to start with injuries
Right.
90% of the time, but can't give a concrete answer. So not to interject, Brez, into what you're saying, but I wish that we were a little bit more lax sometimes about these injuries and just sort of didn't treat them like they were something that people couldn't contemplate.
Yeah, and put a timetable back on it. And that's not the Lakers. I'm saying every
No,
NBA team.
just the whole industry.
Yeah, and
has gone
football
that way.
too. And hockey, as we know, went clearly the other direction years ago. But a lot of the time, it's like, all right, he'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. And then when it's time to get the new evaluation, it'll be another 2 weeks. When all along the team and the player have known it would be 6 weeks or whatever. So it's good that finally still no timetable. And again, this is not unusual at all to not have a concrete. He's back in 8 weeks type of thing. But it's good, like you said, True, that things are starting to ramp up a little bit. Individual workouts for a while. Today is the 13th of November. Maybe late November, early December. Hopefully he's back. Lakers could definitely use his energy, possibly on that first unit, because they've been giving up a lot of points in that first quarter. I'm talking like right off the bat, as we've been talking about in a lot of our shows here, Allie. So hopefully sooner rather than later. And I do want to see how that 3-point shot looks too. If he worked on the corner threes during the offseason.
You think he goes right back into the starting lineup?
No. I would say probably not, just given the whole, if he's been out since October 7th was the
right,
first.
so there'll be that ramp up, but then eventually.
So it just seems like it's unless it's somebody, if it's like LeBron or AD, right, you're not bringing them off the bench almost in any case, even they're playing on some kind of a minutes limit. Most other players seem to kind of be ramped in that way.
Yeah.
And, by the time he does get back, we'll have a larger sample size to evaluate Cam Reddish. Certainly off to a good start in terms of how he's playing, starting with the defensive side of the court. And I think, like, with Vanderbilt out, on top of Gabe Vincent being out, that's the biggest reason that Reddish went in the starting lineup in the first place, because who else are you going to have as a point of attack defender? That's not the strength of D'Angelo Russell or Austin Reaves, and I think that was part of that whole calculus. Vanderbilt, because he played the 3 last year, you got away with Reaves and Russell in that backcourt. You got the advantage of all the skill, all the playmaking, all the shooting, etc. And you still had somebody that could take on the Luka Doncic type players, or Steph Curry or John Morant, and not make one of the 2 guards do it. And so what we're learning, though, is maybe Cam Reddish can do that too decently well, and then Vanderbilt could come back and maybe he stays on the bench and he just gets the minutes that Jackson Hayes has been playing, plus a couple of more that you take away from a different player. So I think he's a rotation player for sure. It's just that I wouldn't expect that he would start right away, especially if Reddish keeps progressing like he has been.
Obviously, the trip didn't start out so well. Trudell, you were with them.
Not until you got there, Allie.
Say it louder.
Yep.
And you guys shared deodorant. I think that was the synergy the team needed.
That's what brought it together.
Well, we didn't share deodorant, and they won last night. So at least that shows that we don't have to.
I brought my own. I think I showed you. So they were 0-3 to start that trip. But then when you look at the last 2 games, there's a couple of different ways that you could kind of go with it. What's impressed you most, maybe stood out to you most? Obviously, everything going on with Cam right now. I think the big thing, too, with D'Lo, the facilitating, 20 assists and just 2 turnovers over his last 2 games. Just winning simply without LeBron, no matter who your opponent is. That hasn't been something easy for any squad LeBron's been on in the last decade. How about Rui Hachimura, since he's been back as well? Anyone kind of jump out to you guys in particular?
Well, let's start where you finished there, because I think Rui's been great. And Rui had, of course, the excellent postseason and really the excellent kind of end of the regular season after an uneven start once the Lakers acquired him. I thought that in the preseason, Rui was just focusing on all of the things that he had been working on in the offseason. We know that he worked with LeBron, or at least alongside LeBron. We know that he worked with Phil Handy, and a lot of the individual type skill. And I thought that when he came back, though, from missing the 4 games with the concussion, he was just playing better team basketball again. And I think he actually just sitting there and watching and thinking about how he could fit in. It wasn't just about where can I get my shots, and that is great that he plays like that because of the mismatches that he creates. But he's defending. He had 4 steals in the Phoenix game, which is a career high, and he's shooting the ball well. So it's like you get the Rui back that you had in the postseason that wasn't there in the preseason and the first game, a couple games of the regular season. So
by the way, then added 3 more against Portland last night.
Yeah, and so just the activity, the length. Like I think that this team is at its best when they're playing bigger, and Rui is a key part of that they didn't have during the first part of that trip. So Rui is a great place to start.
I like that. I'm going to go with D'Lo, and for a couple reasons. I like what he's doing. He's not hitting his threes. Like, he's really not hitting threes very well.
Yeah, was it 29% right now?
Yeah, and especially on this road trip, not a good shooting trip for him. But here's what he's doing. He's saying, okay, shot's not falling. What else can I do? like you mentioned, Allie, the last 2 games, 20 assists, 2 turnovers. That's ridiculous. I mean,
Is it just the two? Remember in the first quarter, he had that crazy transition turnover where he just threw it almost directly out of bounds.
Yeah, that was his only turnover.
And that was it.
That was it. Yeah. So, I mean, he's been like really sharp with the ball. John Stockton would love that ratio, 10-1. That's ridiculous. And in the Phoenix win, I like how he figured out, okay, not making shots. He went to the free throw line 9 times. He was 7 for 9 from the free throw line. So he's figuring out little things he can do to keep this team scoring and keep the offense flowing. And it's not what we thought it would be, where he's going to make 4 threes every game, because he was really good shooting in the preseason, Mike, as was the whole team, really. So I think under the radar D'Lo is what I'm appreciating right now. And one last thing, he hasn't finished the last 2 games in crunch time. It's been Austin Reaves. But D'Lo, I've noticed, is one of the first guys jumping off the bench if the Lakers are up. And on a timeout or whatever, he's very eager, to just be that guy. He seems really happy and really satisfied, and I like his work right now. I like it even more if he starts hitting threes, but right now I'm pleased with what he's doing.
What's your answer, Allie?
I think I think I'll just lean into going out on a limb, the Cam Reddish effect. I really do. I think I've enjoyed, probably because of the 19 interviews that I've had to do over the last 48 hours with him too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I did the walk-off with him, and that's it. Yeah, I think you've
And then I did
gotten it every other time,
in the locker room. I did in the locker room last night.
Pre-game.
Phoenix. I did Phoenix post-game, pre-game Portland, post-game
Post-game,
Portland.
yeah.
So he's looking at me like, what else can you freaking ask
Does he know
me?
about the deodorant thing? Have you shared that with him yet?
He hasn't, no. But I absolutely will if he needs me to.
He's probably got some spray in the locker, too.
I think just getting to see that unique side of him. There's a humility to Cam. There's a desire to want to do well. And I think you're just seeing an individual who has it within him and has been able to embrace his teammates, as he's mentioned and utilized, pouring into him and him receiving that well. One thing that stood out to me, and I think I can share this, going to shoot around in Phoenix on Friday morning, they were doing like a shooting drill, and Bron hits Cam in the corner, left side, and everyone, kind of cheered and had fun with it, because that was, of course, coming off for the Miami situation. And Cam just had this kind of bashful smile to him. And over everyone cheering, LeBron says, Cam, be ready. I'm going to find you, and then you see it kind of come to fruition. It's one thing to know that the ball's coming to you. It's another to take the shot, and it's a whole nother ball game to have the confidence to be able to knock it down and continue to utilize and maximize those moments. And so I think for Cam, it's just unlocking a different side of him. Whether that's also not only his shot making that we continue to see. I think he's been putting it on the floor. Obviously, without LeBron in last night, it was a kind of a different offensive game for him. But 2, the intensity and the energy you can see now on the defensive side as well. So I'll go Cam Reddish. I think it's been fun to watch. You hope it continues. I also think him playing alongside LeBron, you're really good with those numbers and how that kind of affects an individual. We've seen some positive as well. I was going to ask and get your thoughts, because I think you dove into this pregame with Darvin. Do you foresee the change staying with Austin off the bench? I liked how Darvin did keep him off despite LeBron not being available.
I do. I think that, so there's kind of 2 different answers as to kind of like what I think will happen and sort of how it happened. I think that Austin, he spoke to this after the Phoenix game, and, Austin, how does it feel? And it's like, well, to be honest, we all want to start. Like, we all don't want to have that conversation, and he kind of goes on to detail it. And I think that Austin almost gets penalized in a way, because you knew that he was going to be able to take this well, and he was still going to play well. And that's not to say that D'Angelo Russell wouldn't have, but maybe it just, the way that the coaching staff has to look at it and think about because it's not just about the X's and O's and who plays well with whom, but also just what's going to be the best way to not have this permeate the locker room in a negative way, and to make a major shift like that. And to have it, to not be yanking guys around where, okay, we tried it for 2 games, but you know what, Austin, we want you back in the starting lineup now. That can be hard in the inverse way. So I don't think it's easy, and I think that Darvin Ham is good with those types of issues, because he's honest, and he's kind of a good person. Like, he's going to be real about the conversation, and he's going to share the perspective as to why they're doing it. But I did feel for Austin only in this way, like, so he goes undrafted, And then he has to beat out all of the second-round picks. Then he's got to beat out all the first-round picks. Then he's got to beat out all the vets that get signed in the offseason to guaranteed contracts. Then he just to earn his roster spot. Then he's got to come off the bench. Then he's got to prove that he's better than the guys that are starting ahead of him. Then he's when he does get in, he's got to defer to who's on the court. It's like he keeps having to climb up and up another step of the ladder. And then in the postseason, not only does he prove that what he did in the regular season last spring was real in round one, then he does it in round two when it's harder. Then he does it against the Nuggets in the conference finals, which is harder, doesn't lose efficiency. And I think in his mind, there had to be some thought of, oh, by the way, Team USA.
Yeah.
Goes in as the guy probably not supposed to play with the least pedigree, and he ends up being like the third most important player on the team. And then he gets into the preseason. They don't play him much, but he plays well when he's in. And forgive me for going on forever on this. And so he's, I think, finally feeling, all right, I've established myself. I'm an NBA starter. You know, people know that I'm good. I don't have to prove that as much at all anymore. And you could even probably poke at that mentality to some extent, since he's never had that feeling. He's always kind of had to chase. And here he is now again, despite, yes, he didn't have the best start. I think there are other reasons why, and not at the fault of himself. He was basically just getting in shape the first couple games. And so to go through all of that and then have to have that conversation and go to the bench is a tricky one. So for him, I'm at least glad he played 35 minutes. They won the game at Phoenix. Plays pretty well in the win against Portland. But that was just what I was thinking, Allie. And apart from just the will it stick and does it work, just how Austin is mentally processing all this.
Yeah, certainly showing he's capable to handle it.
Yeah, and he will. Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
he'll keep handling it that way. But I think, especially because you know that he can be effective in this role, then there's also a part of that becomes, oh, well, he's fine there. He's fine in the six-man spot. And there's no reason to get him back in the starting lineup. And then there's the part where, Brez, there's no shame. You and I covered the Lamar Odom situation, which there are some similarities. Super different players, but both good at a lot of things and could fit in different lineups and were just such good guys that they weren't, even though Lamar was upset about it, he never took that out on his teammates. He never let that affect his play. But there's a part of me throughout that run too that kind of thought, he probably deserves to start. So what do you remember about that whole thing with Lamar?
Yeah, one of the coolest events I ever covered when I was still at the LA Times, that's when Lamar was playing for the Lakers, was the press conference kind of by the airport in a ballroom at one of the hotels where he won the Sixth Man of the Year award. Yeah, he already knew he was going to win it, and they just awarded it to him there. And he was just really appreciative of it. And it just kind of showed that, yes, these changes can happen. Of course he wanted to start. And by the way, a lot of games he did. Or if he didn't, he was quick off the bench because Andrew Bynum.
When Bynum was out,
was always,
and he would finish most games, kind of like Austin will.
Yeah. And there's no reason, there's no way, I should say, the Lakers win back-to-back championships without Lamar Odom. He was an absolute Swiss Army knife, good rebounder, good distributor, long, rangy defender. His shot was okay. His three-point shot, not great, but he seemed to have good timely threes. And it was just really cool when it all came together. And for him, they won 2 championships. But covering that press conference, that's when it's like, this is a guy who sacrificed the starting role for years with the Lakers. And now he's getting a nice piece of hardware for the rest of his life. And James Worthy was quick to say on the post-game show the other day, after Austin's first game coming off the bench, he said, why not Austin for Sixth Man of the Year? And why not? If Austin keeps putting up 15 and 7 type of numbers, I think it might happen.
He's definitely going to have the minutes to obviously showcase throughout the course of the game. Having said that, again, Darvin Ham calling it a realignment, not a demotion. But the Lakers 5-5 through the first 10. You got that update on Jared Vanderbilt. Gabe Vincent will be reevaluated on Thursday, they said. So hopefully there's some good, positive
people coming back.
Vibes coming back. LeBron, we'll see where he's at with that shit. For now, Lakeshow fans, remember you can be a part of the show each week. Feel free to tweet us. Send us your questions in comments. We'd love to hear from you. Twitter's later. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's Around a Bucket of Brick. Welcome back to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. If you're enjoying the show, you can check out more original podcasts from our Spectrum News journalists on the Spectrum News app. Just head to the podcast section to listen to the latest episodes. You can download the Spectrum News app on the App Store or Google Play. Time for Around a Bucket or Brick presented by Jack in the Box. And we are going to begin with the Lakers improved to 2-0 in their in-season tournament standings Tuesday versus the Grizzlies. Bucket or brick?
Oh, this is an easy bucket. I mean, Look, I know the Grizz just beat the Clippers, but that's not because the Grizzlies are good. It's because the Clippers are not good, and the Grizzlies are 2-8. Lakers are actually lucky to be getting them this early because Ja comes back around Christmas. True,
25 games in, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's like the 20th or 21st of December. So yeah, the Lakers are absolutely going to win this game. Got to have a good start though, and got to make more than 4 threes. That was just a killer. That's why their game was so close on Sunday night.
You know, I'm going to bucket also, but mine is going to go off the rim first. There's been nothing easy for the Lakers this season, almost regardless of who plays. We don't know for sure if LeBron is going to play. I think I would probably expect him to, but we'll see. We'll see how he's feeling once he gets to the arena with the shin. To me, this is more just an issue. Brez got to this a little bit. It's Ja on the one hand, but then it's a bunch of other injuries as well. You know, it's Steven Adams, Xavier Tillman, who had been starting at center. He's been hurt and has not been playing lately. They just got Santi Aldama back. They lose Tyus Jones. Marcus Smart's trying to settle in. It's just it's chaos in their lineup other than Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr., who hasn't been playing great to start the season. So I think that it also helps the Lakers in the fact that Memphis has been here for a couple of days. They played the Clippers, but they got the win. And sometimes just mentally, right, a team can feel like, oh, go to L.A. and get the split. Not that they're going to be thinking like that, especially with the in-season tournament, but I think it's better than the alternative where they lose to the Clippers and are just pissed off for a couple of days before they face them. So I do expect the Lakers to win this game, and it'll put them in really good shape to advance in the in-season tournament if they do so.
You didn't want to mention Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks, they miss Dylan Brooks. Really?
Yeah, they kind of do.
I think that's one thing that we've learned, Allie, and I know you probably agree with this, right? Like, he's playing really well in Houston.
Yeah.
He's shooting the ball well, and I think that Ime Udoka has been on him more to stop taking some of the bad shots that he seemed like he felt was his right to take in Memphis, and that the Lakers then were happy to let him take. So yes, they do miss him a little bit.
Sometimes a change of scenery is necessary for people. All right, bucket or break. The Lakers' three-point shooting will be an issue all season.
Drew, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm gonna go bucket, but let me qualify this. Let me qualify this. I think that I've always been on the side, at least as the modern game has come into play, and we've talked so much more about three-point shooting, and the game is all about three-point shooting. And the Popovich comment about how just look at the box score and see which team made more threes, and that's usually who wins. I think that the Lakers have been an antidote to that. They won the title in 2019-20 without being a good three-point shooting team. This team is a better three-point shooting team than the one that went to the Western Conference Finals last year. Have they showed that yet? No. And I think that there are reasons for that, though. And when you bring new pieces into a team that has LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I think that guys can't help but second guess, at least for a while, at least for early in the season. Should I take the shot? You talked early in the podcast about Cam Reddish. Like, well, LeBron's right there. Yeah. Shouldn't I just give him the basketball? AD's right there. We can all, there's never a bad time to post up Anthony Davis or give LeBron James the ball. And I think that really, it takes a while. Austin Reaves is a good example of this. He came up he didn't play a lot at first. And then over time, he realized, oh, I do have to take these shots. Yep. And I'm confident to do so. So Taurean Prince, new guy. He's going through that process right now.
He's even been one to say that. And he reminds us quickly how long he's played in this league, how it's just so different how quick the shots are coming to him. They're on time, on target. He told us one day after practice. He said it's all just such an adjustment.
Yeah, because so shooting is I noticed you were kind of pulling it closer to yourself too. I'm like, Allie, you can go the other way.
Sorry.
So it's just I think that it's mental, right? And it's the same thing when you see a team miss a bunch of free throws in the first quarter. It's going to keep happening because guys can't. It's like sweating, Allie. When you think a lot about it, it's going to occur. And guess what? The fact is, the Lakers can still score at the rim and they can protect the rim. So they can not be a great three-point shooting team in the modern NBA and still win. And I know that they're different from a lot of teams that way, but most teams don't have LeBron and AD, and that's just how it is.
Allie, can we reread the question? Excuse me.
Bucket or brick, Lakers three-point shooting, which is 31%, by the way, will be an issue all season.
You know how Mike just had a very gentle bucket? I'm going to have a very gentle brick. Like, I really, it could go either way, but it's going to be a little kiss off the rim and falling out. Because I think they really do have to straighten this out. Like, they really do. These mic stands are giving me trouble, too.
Is there a ghost in here?
There's a player that can't shoot that when you were going to do a gentle brick like that, I was going to name the player where the ball would have just smashed off the backboard. But I can't do it now. I can't do it now. And
Can you give us initials?
No.
He's no longer with the Lakers, I'm guessing?
No, not a Lakers player currently.
Does he play in the NBA currently?
I am not answering any more questions on this topic.
Will you
Brez,
tell
go
us
ahead.
after the podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of like in the way that LeBron said he would tell Allie something after.
Oh, I already know who it is.
Yeah, on the air.
It just can't keep happening this way. Like I really feel like there's enough good shooters on this team that it's got to turn around a little bit. Like Mike, they've been bottom 10 in 3-point shooting 8 years in a row before this season. I mean, and as you pointed out, they somehow won a championship in 2020, despite being yet again bottom 10 in 3-point shooting. So you can win. It just makes it really hard. And I think that they have enough good shooters, Allie, that I think it will get better. I thought before the season, maybe they'll be in the top half of the league. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think there will be improvement.
Do you guys know who the best percentage shooter is currently
on
the
Lakers?
team?
Anthony Davis?
3-point percent,
Yeah.
right? Be more?
He's at like 38%. I'm like, who's over?
He's at 38.
Who's over 40?
Rui?
Close. He's at 39.
Christian Wood?
Christian Wood.
Oh,
41.
Wow. Good one.
Yeah. How about that?
I would have had a few more guesses before getting
3 big men.
This is how
1,
we're
2,
going
and 3 for the Lakers in shooting.
Would you have ever thunk it? No. All right. We're going to end on this one. Lou Will was recently on Trae Young's podcast and talked about the Clippers' struggles in the bubble. Quote, we started to hear the rumblings that nobody was going to respect the bubble chips, so they just took their foot off the gas. Bucket or brick on excuses from the bubble Clippers?
Go ahead, Brez.
A brick. I mean, a hard brick. This mic stand just keeps hitting me in the face. It's unbelievable. Yeah, hard brick on this. I mean, come on.
Don't you want to bucket it?
Wait, no. I'm not sure. Maybe I don't understand the
Yeah,
question.
I actually don't.
I'm tired of Clipper excuses. I'm tired
Yeah.
of bubble excuses.
we go.
Is what I'm trying to say. So did I do the wrong thing? Do I
No,
need to dunk it?
way to clarify.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, no, this is, I hate bubble, but don't people understand? So many teams were kind of trapped, really like stranded, marooned, whatever you want to say, at this little Disney World complex. You were there, right, Mike?
No, I was set to go, and then we had Riggs in August.
Oh, well,
So
there
Then
was,
we had
yeah.
a child.
I was in
son,
the green
yeah.
room right there. I was in this. I can't even count how many hours I spent in that little room around the corner.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's
Shout out to
just,
Stephanie for the Mountain Dew in the fridge, though. Thanks, Stephanie.
good job, Steph. Yeah, it's just so dumb when people say it's not a real championship. It drives me nuts. And for Lou Will to say, well, this is why we didn't win the championship. First of all, have the Clippers ever been close to winning a championship? I mean, get past like
Weren't
the
they
second
up
round.
3-1?
Against Denver in that,
Okay.
in that bubble series.
Yeah.
Before,
So let me get this right. We don't want a nice playoff share of $500,000 or whatever it was that year for each player. Yeah, no, we're going to stop playing. We don't want a ring that we'll have and cherish for the rest of our lives. Yeah, no, we're going to take our foot off the gas. I mean, come on. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
How much time do I have here, Allie?
The floor is yours. We are not on air for another hour and 45 minutes.
Oh no, I was well. First of all, let me.
It's
also,
a brick, right?
No. Let me also do it. I can't miss.
True's doing it.
Great.
too.
Thank you. There's a break. I guess I would start here. The point of this, like the whole reason that everybody works in the NBA, and of course players would be at the forefront of this, but ownership and even media like surrounding it, although the job is just to kind of report what's happening, but certainly fans. And fans are the whole point of this in terms of the reason why the NBA is able to succeed like it is because fans want to watch the product and because it's competitive and because we don't know what's going to happen. And people have to watch live, which is why television actually works and why we're all here, why we all have jobs. So, and what is expected in return is the desire to win, to play hard, and to honor the competition. So I had some of these similar thoughts this year going into the in-season tournament, and people are like, well, what's it for? What's the point? Who cares? And I'm like, the point is to win it. Anything that comes across, and if you want to insert some Mamba mentality attitude into this, like you never needed to ask Kobe why he wanted to win something, whether it was one-on-one in practice or the NBA title or the playoffs. And so the bubble being at just taking that aside, so that's just a general attitude thing. And as an aside to this, but it's somewhat related, I did a high school, there was a high school kid, I think that sent me a DM a couple of years ago and was like, "Hey, could you come on this podcast?" And so sometimes I'll do those, and I know you guys do as well. And they asked a question about Alex Caruso, and I think Lou Will came up, and I was like, "Oh, I think Alex Caruso is a better player right now." And this was before people really knew that Caruso was good, and Williams had been Sixth Man of the Year a couple times before. But there's a certain way to play the sport where what are the things that I can do right now to try and win this game? And that extends, of course, as a metaphor to things out in the future. And, I think that Lou was sometimes concerned about the scoring or like what the role was or how many shots were going up. And I've never talked to Lou about this, so I kind of want to remove him from this a little bit. But I found in the way that he was playing versus the way that Caruso was playing, all Caruso cared about was trying to do the things that would help the Lakers win those games. And we saw that play out in the bubble. And like Caruso was fantastic. And so that comment came from there. And so for Lou to reveal in hindsight, yeah, I kind of just wanted to go home at that point. I think it kind of goes against the sanctity of the whole reason that the product is going on. The allowance that I would want to make for it is I wasn't there, and the guys that were there a long times and that had kids and that missed their family, of course we have to accept that. But so did everybody on all the other teams, right? It was an even playing field. Think about LeBron and his kids and having to be away for that time. So I've gone on long enough about it. I thought that was kind of unfortunate and almost too honest. And if you really felt that way, I don't know that it helps kind of the brand of the NBA to be accepting anything above your best effort, especially in a playoff context.
Well said. That
Great
was
answer.
just over 3 minutes, Trudell.
Yeah, I looked over at the clock and I was like, I should probably wrap this
No,
up.
you
I
shouldn't
got
have.
another couple minutes in me.
I was fully invested into that.
Yeah. So,
Well said.
Do you have anything to add
I
on
agree.
that?
No, there's not a lot really to add to that. I 100% agree with you on that. Very well said.
All right.
Yep. Okay.
Perfect.
Anyone need a deodorant? I do. Thanks to you for listening to the Lakeshow podcast. We're ending on that note. Presented by Jack in the Box. If you like what you hear, clip that, Kalo. Leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast app. We want to hear from you. You actually probably need deodorant now. Send us your questions. Hit us up on X at that is not it. Geeter3. He's not even here. Mike _Bresnahan. Lakers reporter, Mike Trudell. I'm at the real A Clifton. My goodness. Beto and Geeter.
Got fouled.